Hey everyone, this is Dr. Weird 28 here. In today's video, I wanted to go over specifically some of the pros and cons of playing in a squad. So in Escape from Tarkov, you have the option to play solo, of course, or you can squad up with other players. Now, there isn't any really built-in communication system for Escape from Tarkov, as far as like when you do have squad play going on. Um, so between that and the fact that friendly fire is a real thing, you really don't want to just join up with random people, inviting them to a group before going into a raid. What I recommend is find a Discord that seems to have good people in it, and in their looking for group section, you can look there. Anyway, as far as solo versus squad play, there are benefits and deficits to both. We'll go over solo play first. Tarkov is a game where you're likely to encounter all sorts of AI and enemy PMCs or player scavs as well. And there's almost a benefit to when you are playing solo that anything you hear or see, you can shoot. So you don't have to worry about communication. You don't have to worry about reacting to the sounds around you with hesitation. You just react and shoot on sight, basically. It also can be helpful with certain tasks, like especially early wipe, everyone's looking for Iskras or Salevas or whatever. You can keep everything you find, versus if you go in with a squad, there might be some sharing that's going to occur. The downside is you're going to be likely to encounter bigger squads, which can be difficult to take down, especially if you're new to Tarkov. Obviously, it can be a fun challenge as you get better. And then it also it can be a little difficult learning the game as a solo, especially because there is no tutorial. Now, as far as squad play goes, it's kind of the opposites of each of those. So it's nice to play in a squad, especially with someone who has experience. You can work together and learn to like progress through maps similarly, learn to accomplish tasks. In fact, it can be nice going in and you've got, like, say, a 3-man or 4-man, and you're looting an area, working together so that you can figure out where your items are or how to complete a task. You may find the items faster, and if someone needs it, you can kind of pool together. So you can kind of get your squad moving faster through the situation. There also is the downside of communication. If you don't know how to play well with the people you're with, you're constantly going to be wondering, like, hey, is that you? Is that you? Where are you? I think a trick for that is, as best you can, know how your teammates are dressed, whether it's having a distinctive backpack or helmet or something that'll at least speed up some of the processing. For example, you might recognize, like, oh, we're not wearing that specific helmet, so I can just shoot right away. Right? No one's running that specific gun. You do need to communicate that as quickly as possible to your team so that when you change, you're prepared for that. However, if you are playing in a squad, I recommend having similar callouts. So know that that building is called this, that building is called that. It's going to allow processing better. And you'll find if you play with the same people a little more consistently, you'll see how they played together. You'll have similar call outs so you can react better. But there's more to that as far as like good communication with one another and making sure to not TK, because that's the downside. You're going to have that hesitation as you're playing with a solo. If you're playing in a squad and you don't know, because you might be wondering, is that my teammate or is that someone else? Another benefit that I would say is when you're playing as a squad, you can increase the range of your hearing as well. So for example, let's say we were right here in between two-story on dorms and the wall. And the reason I was hanging out there is I had two teammates who were inside clearing dorms here. And while they were in there, I heard one guy either jump into or trying to jump into the bathroom. And then I saw another guy running from the hill down towards two-story. So I killed that one. And I saw another guy run out this way while I retreated. And while we exchanged some shots, I pushed back this way since I had another teammate here. And then another guy wrapped around and came and killed me. But even though we died, it's one of the strategies that we like to use. It's not necessarily like the best strategy. There are other strategies to playing the game as a squad for sure. But when you have a couple of guys who are looting there, you can have one or two posted up, not only to help defend and keep eyes out, but also ears out. Because one, inside a building, your audio is going to be a little messed up, especially right now in this wipe. But if you're outside, you might have like 40 meters of range that you might pick up. So even though I'm chilling out here and they're inside, I might hear someone coming from anywhere around here before they hear it. So we can prepare ourselves to get the appropriate angle. Now, when you're moving as a squad, let's say hypothetically we're moving through the broken wall here to get to dorms, we could be spread out a little bit. So whether we're going more in this front to back pattern or side to side or some sort of mixture, it again increases our range. So if we have someone down here, here, the 4-man spread out, we can hear all the way by bus depot and all the way up by the wall and everything in between. Obviously, the more spread out you are, it's going to be a little harder to know exactly who's dressed as what, and knowing how to recognize your teammates or what sort of gear they're running is important so you don't TK and you can react appropriately. It's also useful for if you're trying to loot a body. So like, let's say you get a kill, you want to go try and loot it, and you have your teammates who are maybe spread out trying to, one, see, but also hear if anyone's trying to approach. They also have the ability to potentially stash your gear. So if you die and it's insured, they can throw it in a bush or throw it in the water so you can get it back in insurance. If you're playing solo, you're going to have a harder time getting some of your gear back. So it's probably a little less beneficial to insure your gear. In the end, it's really up to you how you like to play. And you might find you do like to play in a squad, but you only like to play with 2 or 3, and you hate 5-mans because you don't know how to communicate well with 5 people, and it just becomes chaotic. And I've had many raids where people are just yelling, or some guys go off and do their own thing, and it does make things difficult. But you'll find that there are groups you may play with where you guys just, you know how someone else is going to react in a situation, so you can react how you think you're supposed to, and they'll know how you're going to react, and it just makes for a really fun coordination of an attack. I personally prefer to play in a squad for certain tasks, probably overall in general, but there are some where I don't like to. So, for example, say I'm working on getting my office kills early in wipe, I like to kind of just run that solo over and over and over again, because like I'm just going to die and go in again and see if I can get a kill, and it leaves more PMCs on the map for me. Similarly, let's say we're working on chumming, where you got to get 5 PMC kills in a certain time frame on interchange. Well, if I'm running a 5-man, I don't want them to have to hesitate in their shots because they know someone else in the group needs PMC kills. But if we're all working on it, then we can coordinate together and just run a little bit more interchange. But if you're running solo, you might get through it a little faster. So it's really up to you how you like to play. I think my favorite is a good squad of 3 or 4, but I do still enjoy playing with a squad of 5. You just have to deal with the potential for chaos, recognizing who's wearing what, potentially sharing loot. It's going to be a little less profitable since you're spreading out between. Um, but I think if you could figure out the best way to play for yourself, you're going to have a good time. This is not an all-encompassing talk about how to play solo versus squad play, or not all the benefits or deficits to each one, but it gives you an idea of like why you might want to play solo versus playing in a squad. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to reach out and comment, and we'll be back next time. Till then, keep it weird.